everybody, and welcome back to Aamsuntitledpodcast. I'm Am. Hi, if you've never met me before, it's really nice to meet you. Welcome to my Percy Jackson dedicated podcast. I just wanted to start off by saying I'm so sorry it's been such a while since the last upload. Look, guys, I had to wait for the new book, and then now that I'm back at work, there's only like certain amount of chapters I can do in a day since I work a full 9 to 5:30. So I'm so sorry that this episode is a lot later than I had originally planned it to be, but it is for Wrath of the Triple Goddess. So I am so excited. I have been waiting for this book for nearly over, let's say, about a year since Rick first announced that it was coming, and it's finally here, and I cannot wait to share with you guys like what's going on because it was so good. Like, I'm only on the first 7 or 8 chapters and I'm loving it, and I hope that everybody else who is reading it at the minute is loving it as much as I am. um I just wanted to say before I forget, little spoiler disclaimer: this episode contains major spoilers from the from this book, so please do not listen to this if you don't want the book to get spoiled for you. We are only doing chapters 1 to 5 today, but I just thought that I'd throw that out there before anybody savages me saying you didn't do a spoiler disclaimer. If anybody's been part of this podcast for a while, you know that I'm all about spoilers and I love talking about spoilers. So highly recommend you read the first 5 chapters before you listen to this. But if you've already done that, then let's read them together. Let's get on with it. I am so excited right now. Let's do it. Okay, so chapter 1 is I Have an Accident in the Principal's Office. Again, these chapter titles, they just get better and better every time. I don't know how Rick does it. I swear he has some sort of like magic power when it comes to these. So obviously the book is set in autumn. So the book opens up in October, and surprisingly, Percy is enjoying himself as a normal high school senior, as they do, and he's had no trouble from the mythological world. Now, that already seems very sus. Like, that's like, he's not had a problem in a while. Like, that is weird, especially for him being a child of the big three. It almost is unnatural for him not to be disturbed by the gods, the goddesses, or monsters that are basically chasing after them their entire life. And Rick reveals that Percy is at an alternative high school, so that he can complete his diploma in time to join Annabeth for college. Isn't he just the sweetest thing? Like, honestly, like, he's working extra hard, bless him. He's taking classes at the weekends and stuff just so he can catch up and be good enough to get into college with Annabeth. I think that is just, oh, oh my gosh. Percy is just honestly the greenest flag ever. I love him so much. And Eudora makes an appearance, which I'm so happy for because I really liked her character in Chalice of the Gods. So I'm so happy that she has a cameo in this book as well. And she's basically there to sort of be like his personal little cheerleader, like pushing him when things get really difficult and just being there for him. I think that's just really sweet. And Eudora is also having a heart attack because his college application deadline was approaching very fast, and he still had to get 2 recommendation letters if he was going to make it to Rome University. Um, and it so happens that Percy is working so unbelievably hard that he falls asleep in class, and his teacher, Mrs. Foray, wakes him up telling him that his aunt has come to pick him up. Now, this was weird to me because I know for a fact that Sally has no sisters. So it's definitely somebody from the godly side of the family. Anybody picking up the hint as to who it is yet? We'll see. If it hasn't clicked to you yet, it will. Don't worry. Percy asks Eudora if she knows anything about this godly relative that he's about to meet, and she just says to him that she isn't here and disappears. And she looks very worried. Now, if Eudora is worried, I'm worried because I'm like, oh, don't know who he could be possibly coming up against, even though I know who it is. The secretary at the reception desk tells Percy that the person is waiting for him in the principal's office. Well, that's not good, is it? Anytime getting called into the principal office, I mean, that would scare the shit out of me, but that's just because I'm a goody two shoes, so, we'll see. The woman is talking to the principal and she tells him to leave. Of course, that leaves Percy and her alone. And, Percy sort of asks her who she is. You think that he'd be quite good at this by now? Like, judging by the amount of gods and goddesses that he's met so far, you think that he'd be good at guessing who she might be. She introduces herself as the Torchbearer, the Star Walker, the Night Wanderer, the Disturber of the Dead, the daughter of Perseus, and Asteria, the triple goddess, and Percy still has no idea what she's talking about. Oh, come on. Oh, come on, boy. How can you not know who she is? Even I clocked who she was at that point. I was like, yeah, okay, I got it. And she introduces herself as Hecate, and since Percy has never really formally met her, I'll let it slide on this odd occasion. I suppose Hazel's the only person that's really met her properly. Um, oh, guys, I just wanted to say one thing really quickly. I really hope there's a Hazel cameo in this book. Like, I really want to see her come back because she is one of my favorite characters from Heroes of Olympus. So if Rick does that, I will be fangirling really hard. Just a little warning there. She tells him that she has told the other gods to lay off him for a few weeks so that he wouldn't get damaged or killed before she can offer her quest. Now, I don't know if that is very selfless of her or very selfish. Um, I think I'll have to come back to that. I'm not sure. Like, okay, she told the other gods and goddesses to lay off him. Okay, that's kind of nice of her. But she's doing it for her own selfish purpose so that Percy can do her quest and only her quest. But then I look at it on the other side and it's like he could have had two other quests by now and be done with it. You know, I don't know. I think it's slightly on the selfish side, but we'll come up with that. And that's when Percy clocks at course that he could have taken other gods' requests. But of course Hecate put her two pennies worth in, and I think he's kind of annoyed because he could have had those two other acceptance letters by now. Hecate tells him that the other quests would have been unworthy of his time because they were too easy. Yo, what the hell? Like, what more does my baby have to do to prove himself? I mean, he's saved the gods, he's defeated the giants. Like, what more can this boy do to make you guys give him an acceptance letter? I'm sorry, but I just think that that's horrible. Um, yeah, so what if the quests were easy? Seeing the problem here, guys. Anyway, let's move on. Percy asks her what her quest is, and Hecate tells him that she wants him to stay at her house and pet sit. Since Halloween is a busy time for her, obviously she thinks that Halloween is dedicated to her, but again, we'll come back to that. And it's she spends that time traveling around the world to make her presence known. And while she does that, she wants Percy to pet sit her hellhound and polecat. Wow. Okay, I can't believe she stopped other easy tasks for pet sitting, but okay, whatever. Let's move on. She gives Percy her business card and it tells her the address, which is Mansay, Grand Mercy Park West at sunset tonight. And she told him to bring Annabeth and Grover with him, basically. She doesn't say their names like that, but you have to read the book. That's just book humor. I can't quote it because it's just not as funny. You have to read it in the book. Hecate tells him that this is an easy assignment and if he succeeds, she'll be really grateful. But if he fails, basically, let's just say Hecate showed him some very disturbing visions, which honestly just scared the absolute shit out of him. It was really scary. Like when I read it in the book as well, I was a bit like, "Whoa, she's a bit intense, isn't she?" And she comes back in her single form. She waves him ciao and disappears into flames. And she sets the whole principal office on fire as well. Good for her. Percy knew what he had to do, but his main priority was, of course, changing his undershorts because he wet himself because he was so scared. I'm sorry, my guy has been to Tartarus, but Hecate made him pee himself. Can we just think about that? That must have been how disturbing the visions were. The guy survived Tartarus and he's still afraid of her. I think that speaks volumes. So, chapter 2 is Grover gets heavily caffeinated. Grover tells Percy that, of course, he should be happy that he finally has a quest. Like, he's been waiting for this with the deadline being around the corner. Like, he really does need to complete these quests fast. Um, and it turns out that Grover was actually more excited than Percy to pet sit because he wants to make new friends. Now, this is where I got concerned because I was like, man, this excitement is going to cause a huge problem. Like, I just know it. I can just see it happening. I know he's going to do something silly. But we'll come to that later. Grover and Percy were heading to the Crap Teapot. So it's their favorite cafe, and that is currently where Sally was working to finish her book. And obviously, Percy wants to tell her about this quest before he goes. And guys, can we just talk about the way that Rick describes that cafe? Honestly, I want to go to that cafe. Like, I wish it wasn't fictional because it just sounds so fun. But again, you have to read the book for those details. Oh, it was too good. Honestly, highly recommend reading it. It was great. And it's revealed that Sally is actually racing to finish her book before the new baby arrives. Oh my god, I'm so excited. My baby is gonna be a big brother, and like my girl Sally, who's my fictional mom, like she's gonna be a mom again, and I'm just so happy for her because I just feel like she deserves everything. And I just want to see what Percy's gonna be like as a big brother. Like, of course, he's already a big brother to Tyson, but Tyson doesn't live with him. This is gonna be like he's gonna come home in Manhattan, and this beautiful baby is gonna be there. Oh, I think it's gonna be so cute. I hope like Sally has the baby by the end of this book, and I could just see like a little glimpse of Percy being a big brother. Like it would just make me like so emotional, but also really happy for them. Anyway, sorry, on a Sally tangent there. Let's move on. And they see Sally sitting at her usual spot drinking tea, and they both decide obviously to go and sit with her and talk to her. And just as they're sitting down, Sally already knows that it's a new quest. Man, woman can read her son like an open book. Swear, like it's one of those things where she just knows, like, before he sits down. Maybe it's a mum instinct. I don't know, but I just thought it was really cute the way she just went, "Yeah, this is about a new quest," and he tells her everything, of course, minus the scary visions and him peeing himself. My boy knows what details to keep to himself and what to share with everybody. And of course, Percy drank a blueberry smoothie. I was gonna say blue strawberry, but that's not even a thing. Oh God. A blueberry smoothie, and that doesn't surprise me. Of course it doesn't. And Grover was drinking a double shot latte. Can somebody please take the caffeine away from him? He doesn't need any more coffee to make him any more hyper than he already is. And he also has a strawberry muffin, and Rick tells us that that also gives him a hyperactive meltdown. It's literally just shaping into like a recipe for disaster. Like there's already like this big problem with Grover being overly excited, and now he's feeding that by drinking caffeine and eating a strawberry muffin. Like I already see this going really wrong. But anyway, let's move on. And Grover reassures Percy that he'll be fine. Yeah, I already know that's a big lie. It's a big, big lie, but okay. Percy tells Sally about the location, and she has this moment where it's like something dawns on her, and she sort of says, "Oh, have I ever told you?" And she stops, like she fully stops, like in the middle of the sentence. Now, this worries me a little bit because I can tell that this is already not going to be good. Like she already knows something, guys, like something bad, and I'm just wondering what it is because I don't think it's something that's ever been mentioned in the previous PGO books. So, I don't know. Like that one, like I literally had to stop there and take a breather when I was reading it. I was like, "Huh, this is interesting." Like it's the first time where she's hesitating to tell her son something. And she just says it's fine and for them to be careful. Yeah, I don't know. That worries me. That moment really stuck with me when I was reading the book. I was a bit like, don't know what she could be thinking. And, Percy says that he'll try his best to be careful. Yeah, that never happens. I don't know why he bothers promising because it never happens. He always ends up in a dangerous situation. But oh well. Of course, Grover devours his muffin and coffee. And Percy can already feel like he's vibrating. Oh no. Code red, abandoned ship. Somebody needs to put some water in him to just wash it out of his system because this is already gonna go very wrong. But oh well. Oh well. We'll see how that affects everything later on. And Grover tells him that, he'll meet back up with him at sunset. He's just gonna go and get some supplies for the quest. Okay, seems easy enough. Hopefully he walks off all that caffeine. We'll see. And Percy asks Sally, if he should wait by her apartment until she comes home just to make sure she gets there safely. He's so sweet and so considerate. And oh, I just love him. I just love him so much. And secretly he wants to wait there so that he can ask her why she was so concerned about the location. But she says no, and she's like, "No, it's fine. Like I'll be okay." Something is really off about her at the minute. I'm kind of worried. Like I'm not gonna lie, when I was reading that, I was just like, "Yeah, I really wish that she just told us what she was so worried about." Maybe it'll come in future chapters. I don't know. We'll see. Grover tells Percy that apparently Hecate can manipulate the mist as well. And that's something that, of course, that's a trick that she taught Hazel. Now, this is why I really want a Hazel cameo, guys. Like, I'm almost going to be gutted if she's not in this book. But I know that Rick always makes the best decisions, so maybe there might be something better than Hazel. I don't know. We'll see when we get there. Sally tells Percy, of course, if he can, to keep her posted. Oh my God, she's so sweet. Like, I just love her so much. Like, even though she knows like her son has to do these dangerous things and she's probably worried sick about him, like she just always wants to know if he's okay. I think that's so lovely. And I think that moment really shook me because of course in like Lost Hero, not in Lost Hero, Son of Neptune, like she hadn't heard from Percy in months. Like she didn't know whether he was alive, whether he was dead, whether he was okay. And of course he had his memory wiped and things, and I think like she carries a lot from that, and it makes me sad like when I think back on that moment. Like that moment in Heroes of Olympus really cried, and when we read Heroes of Olympus together after of course we've been through this book together, we'll talk more in detail about that. But yeah, I literally sobbed when I read that moment, and that moment, just this moment in particular, reminded me of that, and I was just like, oh, felt like a tug in my heart. I was like, oh no, I don't like it. And she does, of course, the mom thing, and she goes, make sure you pack your toothbrush. She's so funny. I love her. She's great. Um, Percy wishes her good luck with her writing, and they both leave the table. And as they're leaving the table, Grover's still rambling about the pet sitting, but in the back of his mind, Percy's wondering why his mother is so worried. Like, maybe they'll find out soon enough. I don't know. We'll see. So, chapter 3 is My Girlfriend Takes Me to a Graveyard. Yay! My girl Annabeth is going to be back. Sorry, I was waiting for her to come back in this book. Like, I was really excited, I'm not going to lie. So, Percy is going to look for Annabeth at the School of Design in New York City, where she's currently studying. And it's so funny because he knows that she's going to be in 3 places, and his first guess was the library, and that's where he finds her. Man, guys, those soulmate instincts are just next level. Like, honestly, I just how they know each other so well. It's so I love them. They're just great. They're just great. Let's not. Otherwise, I'm gonna get all emotional, and nobody wants to hear that. And he sees her sitting at her usual spot in the library with her buddies Dave and Hannah. So I think they're 2 people that go to the School of Design together. I think they're her classmates. There's a lovely little Perspex moment here, which is when you see someone for a distance and for a split second you don't recognize them, your brain registers and, oh, that person looks amazing. Then you realize it's someone you've known for years, your girlfriend, in fact, and that sends tingles of happiness through your whole body. Oh, you know what? Rick never misses in a person best moment. Like the quotes just get better and better. Like I always thought, like in the first 5, like I always wondered how he could top them. And then came the amazing moments in Heroes of Olympus. If you want to hear my favorite moments, I have a whole series on the podcast, which is the best of Persebeth, and I talk about my favorite Persebeth moments in each book. So I highly recommend listening into that if you haven't heard it already. And I love that he still feels the same thing, like he still has those same feelings for her, even though it's been so many years. Oh, they're just you guys. I love you, Rick. You know what? My dream one day is to sit down with Rick and just talk about these Percival moments. I'll just be like, where did these come from? Like, I'm sure they're inspired by his real life, of course, his and Becky's relationship. But I would really love to talk to him one day about it. I think it would just be, oh, I don't know if I'd be able to speak because I would genuinely be starstruck. And that only happens like very rarely to me. But I think if Rick ever came in front of me, I think I would probably pass out or I'd cry, which is probably not the thing you want to be doing, but it's probably what would happen to me. I'm not even gonna lie. Um, yeah, they're just too cute. Like, where does anyone find a Percy, guys? If anybody ever finds a Percy, let me know because I haven't seen a guy like that ever. And of course, nobody replaces my love for Percy. I love him so much. And then there was another follow-up Percibeth moment underneath, which was she would always succeed whether I was around or not. That made me even more determined to graduate and get into college with her, even if it meant doing torturous activities like studying or reading. Now, everything that Percy is doing is to make Annabeth happy. Like he is willing to go above and beyond to make sure he is at the same level and to make her proud. And I love that. And you know what? Like I genuinely have this personal belief that I don't believe that Annabeth would be half as successful as she is without Percy. Like I think because Percy is in her life, he gives her that motivation to be successful. And I just love like how in awe of her he is, even years later. And I know for a fact that she feels the same way. Like she's just as proud of him as he is of her. And I just, oh, I can't. Like my Percival's heart just can't take it. And I know that there's gonna be even more great quotes in the book, but those two were just they were so worth pointing out. Like I just had to say them to you guys. Um, and then it turns out that Dave, Hannah, and Annabeth are all discussing their new assignment, which is to redesign the Met. And that honestly sounds super fun. Like, I think Annabeth would be the best person for something like that. She just has such a creative mind. And of course, she shares with the group how she wants to design the Met. And it's pretty cool. So, highly recommend reading it if you haven't already. Percy tells her that he has an assignment that he needs help with. And of course, she, being the amazing soulmate that she is, she understands exactly what he's talking about. So after her friends leave, Percy tells her about this quest. And you know what? Surprisingly, she's really happy because she thinks it's going to be really easy. And of course, she managed to tame Cerberus, which was amazing of her. Like, that's so Annabeth of her. But don't understand why Grover and Annabeth are so happy about this. Like, I get, like, it's a simple quest. Like, of course, it's not. It doesn't look outwardly dangerous, but I just don't think it's going to be as easy as I think it is. But anyway. And she tells him that she wants to use Hecate's house to throw a Halloween party because she's always wanted to design a haunted house. I'm sorry, who is this girl? I was reading it and I was like, oh my gosh, like Annabeth is suggesting having a party. Like, it's just strange. I've just never imagined her saying something like that. I guess maybe she's learned how to like live more after everything that they've been through. Obviously, her and Percy went through Tartarus, so maybe she's just trying her best to enjoy her life, which I completely get. But it just really threw me off when I read it. I was like, whoa. And there was another little Percy quote, which is something Percy says, which is usually I was the one suggesting boneheaded ideas. It was Annabeth's job to explain all the reasons why they were boneheaded. I wasn't used to switching roles. I love him so much because he doesn't know how to convince her not to do it. And I just love how unserious he is. It's amazing. He never fails to make me laugh. Like, and to be honest, I don't know how to suggest that that's a bad idea, but we'll see. She says that the party is going to be super respectful since Hecate thinks Halloween is all about her. So, if anything, she thinks that it's like a tribute to her or something. And Percy asks her if she has actually met their friends. They're so funny. Relationship is just hilarious. Like, along with having these really cute, like, romantic moments, they have these really funny couple bickery moments that I love as well. Like, they're both so unserious. I love it. And towards the end of the chapter, Annabeth tells him that she will meet up with him in an hour, and she runs off to her dorm to grab some stuff, basically. And Percy is still standing there, so confused. Like, he just cannot comprehend why his two friends are so excited about this quest. And the fact that Percy is having like this doubt, I think, is such a big thing, and I think it shows how much he has developed as a character. Like, he's not as um what's the word that I'm looking for here? What, there's a specific word for it and I can't remember what it is. He's not as reckless as he used to be. Like, you know how he used to jump into situations like head first? I think he's got this new thing where he does do that sometimes, but I think now he's a little bit more careful. Maybe it was the whole going through Tartarus thing. I don't know, but I feel like he's really evolved and grown as a person, and you can see that in this book. Rick is so good. Like, the way he creates character arcs, like, I've never seen anything like it. So yeah, and I can't wait to chat with you guys about Heroes of Olympus. I've got so much to talk about um in those books, but we'll get there soon enough. As soon as we finish this book together, we'll move straight on to Heroes of Olympus. Chapter 4 is Turns Out I Am Salmon Flavored. Sorry. You know, when I read these chapter titles back, they honestly tickle me. Like, I not stop laughing. So the chapter opens up with Percy and Annabeth picking up dinner at Black Ant, which is one of Annabeth's favorite restaurants. I think it's a Mexican place, from what I can remember. Don't know. I took these notes a few days ago, guys. You're gonna have to bear with me. And after dinner, they headed up to Grand Mercy Park, obviously, to meet Hecate. And they find Hecate's crib, and Grover appears with his bag of supplies. They get to the front door and it has three knockers, and they're all looking at each other like, which one are we supposed to use to get in, basically. And the knockers come to life. So, do you know what? It's really scary. I think one's like a lion, one is, oh, I can't remember what they are now. Oh my gosh, it's gone out my head. I should have written it down. But yeah, they all start arguing basically, and the door opens by itself, and standing in the doorway was a hellhound. And Grover speaks to it, and she introduces herself as Hecuba. She tells them to ignore the knockers and that they haven't worked properly since the school shut down. Wait a minute, school? Now, this is where like it's starting to get a little bit more sus. Like school that shut down. Hmm. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know. Any predictions of what that might be? Grover says that he wasn't sure if he translated what she said correctly because a lot of words in bark sound the same. I guess we'll find out soon enough what that might be. Grover asked Percy if he is salmon flavored because Hecuba thinks that he smells like salmon, so she's assuming that he would taste like salmon. Oh my god. You know, when I read that, I was honestly dying. Like, I thought it was so funny. And, you know, like, Grover is so unserious. Like, you can tell. Like, I really missed him, like, in Heroes of Olympus. Sometimes it was his humor that used to keep me going in the dark moments in the first five books. And like I love that these newer books have the same level of comedic gold as the last ones. Like you can tell like nothing about Ricker's writing has ever changed and you can still feel his essence even though these books have come so much later on and I love it. It's just funny. And even Annabeth is like pissing herself laughing. It's just so random. Like, even though, like, I always wonder, like, what was going through Grover's mind in that moment. Like, of course, when Hecuba's asking him, he's probably thinking, I don't actually know the answer to that question. It was just, it's just funny. I just thought I'd point that out to you guys. Annabeth tells Hecuba that they are here to pet sit her, and obviously, Hecuba allows them to come inside. They see Hecate's polecat. Her name is Gale, and Hecate was stood at the balcony on the top of her staircase. Hecate tells them that they are just in time for the 3 drachma house tour. Oh, she can't be serious. She's expecting them to pay 3 drachmas so that she can give them a house tour. She's the one who's called them for the quest, so shouldn't be charged anything? But whatever. Annabeth pays her the 3 drachmas, and Hecate tells her to put them in the piano. Again, really weird that she's putting the drachmas in the piano. I guess maybe it's an offering or something. I don't know. And she tells them to come upstairs because the eels won't feed themselves. I'm sorry, eels. I thought we were just babysitting a polecat and a hellhound. Where are these eels coming from? I don't know. Guess we'll find out in the next chapter. Chapter 5, the last chapter that we're going to be talking about together, is we enter the laboratory of forbidden ice cream. Turns out Hecate did have a tank of eels, and she basically just explains to them how to feed the eels and just keep them happy, in other words. But the eels are telepathically contradicting everything she says by saying that they eat more than she says. I would just stick to Hecate's regime. I wouldn't want to make her angry. She shows them to the bedrooms where acolytes come to train in magic at the school before it shut down. Yeah, this whole the building used to being a school thing is so sus. Like it really, I'm like on the edge of my seat. Like I just want to know more. Like why did the school shut down? Maybe Sally knows something about that school. I don't know. It's all very like eerie and suspicious. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what Rick has planned. Hecate tells Hecuba that they don't talk about that if they want to remain a happy family. Okay, I thought that was a little harsh. Like all Hecuba mentioned was the school, but that makes me more curious. Like I just want to know why has Hecate got such a big thing against this school? No idea. Grover asks her where they are allowed to sleep, and she tells them that they can camp in the living room. You'd think they'd let if there's nobody staying in the bedrooms, why she wouldn't allow them to stay in the bedrooms, I'll never know, but okay. And Hecate tells them that she has a library where they can go, and of course our girl Annabeth is drawn to that. And she says that there is a kitchen in the basement, but she calls it a laboratory, and she says that she would show them, and they follow her down the staircase. Grover says that he can smell something really heavenly, like a strawberry sort of smell. And Hecate tells them that no one is allowed to touch her projects before she returns. They have to stay on the stove simmering, but the only thing she's willing to make an exception for is her strawberry milkshake experiment. Oh, come on, girl. Don't tell Grover that. He's going to be all over that. She basically tells them that at 10 a.m. tomorrow, using these gloves, they need to transfer that strawberry experiment into the freezer, but strictly no eating, otherwise, there would be dire consequences. Are you guys seeing what's about to happen? Like, the foreshadowing is just insane. Like, we already know what's going to happen. And the chapter ends with Grover nodding, saying that he understands what she's saying. And she says now she's going to show them how to properly care for her main pets, so the hellhound and the polk. So, wow. Okay, that's the first 5 chapters. I just love how it's so well set. Like, of course, like Halloween is around the corner and stuff, and the book is set in autumn, and it's just, I just feel like it was perfect. Like Rick picked the best moment to set the book and the best time to release it where people can enjoy it during the spooky season. And one of my favorite things about this part of the book was like, I love that Percy just couldn't work out who Hecate is from the way she described herself. That is so Percy of him. Like, I just love him so much. He can be so dense at times, and it's so funny. Um, and of course, guys, my girl Sally's having a baby. Like, that just makes me so emotional. And I hope we get to meet the new baby at the end of this book. I guess we'll have to see. Rick, I really want to meet the new baby. I hope I get to meet. And like I said, I really want a Hazel cameo, guys. I want Hazel to be in this book. I'm praying that she's in this book. Please say that there is somebody out there like me that is praying she's in this book. Um, and also that cafe, the cracked teapot. I really want to go there. Like, the way Rick described it, I was like, oh, I really wished it actually existed. Maybe it does. I don't know. Maybe it's just the name of something else, or maybe Rick was inspired by a particular cafe shop. It'd be something that I'd love to ask him one day if I ever got the chance to speak to him. I can't believe like Annabeth wants to throw a party at Hecate's house. Like, who even is she? Like, it really made me laugh. I remember like having to stop myself when I read that in the book. I was like, oh my gosh, did I read that right? And I went back and reread that section again to make sure I wasn't imagining what I read, but that is what she said. But I'm so happy that she's trying to enjoy her life now. But I'm not gonna lie, did kind of throw me off in the beginning. I can't believe Hakuba thinks that Percy is salmon flavored. Like, that's so funny. Like, Rick's humor is just next level. Like, I love him so much, and he's just comedic gold. Like, I don't think there's any author that can make me laugh as much as he does when I read his book. And guys, of course, we know that Grover's about to make a bad decision with that strawberry milkshake experiment. But I guess when we have and I upload the next episode, we'll find out what happens, I guess. So yeah, thank you guys so much for listening in. I really hope you appreciate. What am I on about? Sorry, I had a bit of a moment there. Thank you guys so much for listening in. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you guys are reading the new book and enjoying it and loving it as much as I am. I love it, and I cannot wait to see what Rick comes up with next. Next episode, we're doing chapters 6 to chapter 10. So I've decided I'm going to do 5 chapters each, and of course, just talk about them in as much detail as I can. Um, like I said, all episodes from now on are going to contain major spoilers from the new book. So I highly recommend reading the chapters. Sorry, what was I talking about? I got interrupted. Oh yeah, I was just saying I hope you guys are enjoying the books as much as I am. This new one is going to be just as great as the others. I can already feel it. Like I can tell like in the first 5 chapters in a book whether I'm going to enjoy it or not, and I'm loving it already. And like I said, next episode we're going to do the next 5 chapters together. And yeah, happy reading everybody. We really hit hard this week in terms of Percy Jackson content. I was going to say we got our Thalia, guys. Although the pronunciation of the name really threw me off, so I'm going to keep saying it the way I say it. Don't know if it's the right way or not, but whatever. Tamara Smart is going to be our Thalia Grace, and she's looks amazing, and she's going to use her British accent. Now that makes me really happy because I'm British as well, so I'm going to be so excited to see her talking like that. And I can imagine, if we get season 3 Titans Curse, I think the banter between her and Walker is going to be so fun to watch. And seeing their rivalry is something I'm really excited about. So yeah, the Percy Jackson fandom this week really won, and so many books came out this week, and of course this new one, which I was so excited about. And I really need to read Sun and the Star, so maybe I will put that in at some point in the podcast. But yeah, like I said, thank you guys so much for listening in. I really appreciate it. Um, Episodes are available to stream on Spotify and on my YouTube channel. I'm sorry that this is a little bit late, but I hope you guys can forgive me for that. Um, there will only be one new episode a week now, because obviously I'm going back to uni and I'm working as well. So it takes up a lot of my time, but I promise I'm not going to neglect the podcast, and I'm going to try my best to upload every single week. What else is there? Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel whilst you're there. It would be greatly appreciated. Follow me on Spotify as well. Follow me on Instagram and on Threads. I'm most active on Threads and on Instagram. DM me any questions. I love hearing from you guys. Any thoughts on the new book? I'd love to hear them. And I will speak to you guys in the next episode. Mwah. Bye.